And so it becomes an interesting state of mind where people start to begin to speak everything they don't want and then wonder why they have the things that they don't want. Like, let's be clear on that. You don't have what you want because you only talk about what you don't want. Happy Self Love Sunday. I am Tarnisha Moe Sass, your host of Self Love Sundays with Sass. I am your certified vision and empowerment and extreme execution coach who comes every single Sunday so we can talk about all the ways in which you can better your best. And I'm excited. I don't know about you, but before we get into today's message, you know what I'm going to ask you? Did you get your copy of my book, Finding Your Ways, 7 Ways to Love and Heal Yourself? And I also have a guided journal, which I'm so excited because with the guided journal, you can either use it as a companion to my book because I ask you some very important questions in here on your journey, or you can use it with my Finding Your Way Questions Are the Answer deck. And with this deck, you can use it with the journal. Because sometimes, listen, it's like, I know I need to journal, but I'm not sure what I want to journal on today. Sometimes you're not even sure how you feel. Well, with this deck, you can actually pull a card for the day and actually read a question, meditate on it, and then journal about it. So excited for that because I want to give people different options and different ways to let out the things that are going on with inside of them. And so that is the journal card deck. And I also have my accountability tracking workbook, which if you're working with a coach, hopefully you'll be working with me one day. You will use this book because this is how we get to become successful. Paper remembers, your memories don't. And so we can look at tracking your success through this accountability tracking workbook. So I hope you've grabbed your copy from my website, www.mosass.com, and or Amazon. You can find the books on Amazon. The card deck will exclusively be sold on my site if you want to get that. But let's get into it because we are at March and we are marching into success. Yes, we are marching into success. Listen, we started off this journey of being bold by facing our fears, loving ourselves. And so now that we have done that, and if you haven't had an opportunity to check out January and February videos, please go back and do so because it's going to be, listen, these videos are crucial to taking each step, working through each item so that you can really, really march into success at the end of the year. So today, now that we've got that out the way, we're going to focus on vision. And oh man, I want to talk about it because let's talk about the definition of vision. Vision, the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. And so whenever I get into these conversations with people about vision, the first thing that I don't want to think about the future. I don't want to think about the future. Well, let's talk about what future means. Because see, the problem is we speak sometimes, we don't know the definition of things. So let's do the definition of future. The time or a period of time following the moment of speaking or writing. Time regarded as still to come. What does that mean? By the time you see this video, it will be in the future. After you've spoken something off your lips, that is the past. And then you're in the future. So when people think about the future, they're thinking of 5, 10 years from now. I hate to break it to you. The future is right now. Your future is right now. I need you to really get that. It's the time or a period of time following the moment of speaking and or writing. So by the time you see this will be in the future because it's already passed. I've already spoken it. Okay, so if you're looking at tomorrow, that is the future. If you're looking at next week, that is the future. How about this? If you're thinking about what you're going to have for lunch in the morning, that is the future. So we need to stop this whole conversation as I don't want to think about the future. Your future is now. And the reason why most people are not living the life they desire is because they don't get that one point. In order to have what you desire to have that you don't already, Guess what you need to do? Create a vision. You have to create a vision. And when what happens is what you do from day to day ultimately results in the end result you desire for your vision. Okay. So we always build the vision with the end result in mind. What do you want? What do you want? This is why I had you deal with fear first, and then love second, and now vision. Because if you go to write this vision based upon what you think society needs you to be, your mother or father needs you to be, or you're trying to prove something to somebody, it's not your vision. It's not your vision. I need you to think about what you want. And if you don't know what you want, then that tells me that you haven't done the work, and you have to do the work on yourself to understand and know what do I want? What do I like? What don't I like? Give yourself a chance to explore that within yourself. That's what loving yourself is all about. Taking the time out to even know. What kind of food do you like? I grew up on Southern food, fried, dyed, laid to the side, right? Everything. And then as I grew up, I still love those foods, but I also realized that I have to take myself on a health journey. And so I had to learn, what foods do I like? Not the foods that were chosen for me. What clothes do I like to wear? Not the clothes that were chosen for my parents. So this is all about creating a vision. First, you have to know who you are to understand what you want. That's exactly why everything in my series, I know you hear me say, finding your way, finding your way. My books are finding your way, because so often people are living someone else's life and someone else's dream. It's not what they saw for themselves. So you have to find your way. The very first question in creating this vision, what do you want? And let me be clear, because when I ask, I love that. Listen, this is so great. I love asking this question, because generally the first thing I get is people start telling me, well, I don't like this and I don't want this. That's not what I asked you. And so it becomes an interesting state of mind where people start to begin to speak everything they don't want, and then wonder why they have the things that they don't want. Like, let's be clear on that. You don't have what you want because you only talk about what you don't want. I'm just saying. So we have to work on that. What do you want? Understanding that your future is now. And so another part of vision, right, is it says it's the ability to think about or plan with imagination or wisdom. And I like to incorporate both. Okay. So let's talk about imagination. It's the action of forming new ideas or images or concepts of external objects not present to the senses. So it's something that's really not present right now. Like, you can't, when you're imagining, you can't physically, like my book, when I was imagining it, I couldn't physically touch it with my hands. Okay. So it was in my imagination. So it was things that I thought about. Right. But I had to get quiet to think about those things. And I want to talk about imagination for a second. The reason why you're not creative is because you're constantly doing and you're never giving yourself time to think. If all you're doing, if your schedule is so busy with just doing, then you're not spending any time thinking. Therefore, you're not productive. That's the bottom line to that. So the way to even start to imagine is we have to start to get mindful. We have to start to get present. And I'm going to talk about that this month too, because marching into success means not only just creating a vision, but we have to get mindful in the month of March. See how I did that? And so that's imagination. So let's talk about wisdom. Oh, wisdom is my bag, y'all. Wisdom is my bag. Wisdom is the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment, the quality of being wise. So how does one obtain wisdom? It's either by experience, knowledge, right, skill, and good judgment. How does one become good with judgment? One has to first know themselves. What is your character, right? I'm gonna be a good judge of this and or that. Is this right and or wrong? What are your moral beliefs about things? how do I begin to judge in such a way that I know it's good? What is good for me? What is good for the greater good of all? What is good for my soul? Right? So think about that. And so how I normally obtain wisdom is I'm going to give a disclaimer. I believe in God, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You will hear me say it every day, all day, and twice on Sundays. And I'm not going to back down from that. And I'm okay with whatever you believe in. All I'm saying is build a relationship with whatever spiritual journey you decide to be on. And then that's how you gain wisdom, reading the word. What does your spiritual beliefs tell you in terms of understanding wisdom and gaining knowledge? All right, so when we start to think about vision, we're thinking about where we're headed in the future. We've imagined this thing in our mind, and we've also created some sort of wisdom to know, like, okay, this is a good thing for me, and it may be the greater good of all. Which leads me to my second thing in creating vision. It starts off with what you want, but why? Why? How do I know it's a greater good? Because what I'm doing it to leave a legacy for my children's children. That's how I know. Right? So why are you doing this? Why do I want to leave a legacy for my children's children? Because I believe in order for my legacy to get ahead in life, I must leave them something. Success leaves clues. Why would I leave clues for everyone else and not leave it for them? Right? So that's how my mindset thinks. Everyone talks about us as a culture being behind the eight ball. Well, how do we make sure that our kids have a hand up, not a hand out? There's a difference there. How I give them a hand up is in my vision for the future in carrying things through. You can change the very DNA thread of your family just by making a decision that you're going to create a vision that's going to lead something so that the people coming behind you can understand, wait a minute, if my great-great-grandmother can write books and build decks and coach people, what can I do? Right? So it's all about building on what our ancestors have already done. They've broke barriers and molds. That's why everybody can get on this social media internet and dog one another out and say all sorts of crazy things to everybody and treat people like crap. It's sad to have to think about it, but our ancestors were whipped and killed so you can be on social media doing all the things that you were doing. So what's a better way to expand upon that? That's where I want your head to start thinking. And I'm not saying I'm not here for a good kiki or a laugh, okay? Because I'm human. However, I really want you guys to start thinking about what you're putting out into this world. And everybody want to talk about being real, but your real is not my real, because your real is shaped on your environment. Your real is shaped from the people who are around you. What are you listening to consistently? So if I was consistently in the street, consistently listening to negativity, consistently, looking at nobody getting ahead and nobody trying, guess what my thought pattern would be? So that's why you're speaking to things, because you're not outside your fishbowl. But why can I say that? Where do you think I came from? But I was able to get outside of my fishbowl. So what happens is your environment starts to shift. You start to see things differently. That's hear me on this. That's if you make a decision about who you want to become. Because some people can move from environment to environment and be the exact same and then blame the environment, never realizing that they're the common denominator. I know somebody who honestly came from was homeless, came from a really, had a really rough upbringing. And, he went to a lot of programs, a lot of different things, and he's still scamming. His mindset hasn't changed. His mindset is still back in the homeless days. So I'm still doing what I need to do in survival mode to good people. So I need you to think about that for a second. As you're starting to build your vision, you're going to have to ask yourself a series of questions. So the first one I said to you is, what do you want? The second one is, why do I want it? Right? The third one is, what is my old story? Like, what's kept me from really living the life that I want to live right now? So say if you make five, because everybody wants to tie everything to money. I'm gonna come there with you for a second, because I do believe that money can make people happy. And what do I mean by that? Is if you give enough away, that feeling that you get from being able to help people who can't help themselves, I promise you, there's not enough money in the world that can like give you that feeling from just being able to give to others, to be able to serve others. I'm telling you, it's like so euphoric. So when people say money doesn't make you happy, I do believe, and this is not from me, it's from Tony Robbins, where he says you haven't given enough of it away. When you're able to help people who are in need, I listen. And the reason why I do it is not for accolades. That's why a lot of things I do, no one will ever know about, because I just remember being a welfare mother and getting help, whether it was from the government or other places. So I remember what that felt like. So I give from that place. Okay. So let's just go there for a second. You're making your 5, you want to make 6 figures. Your 6 figures want to make 7 figures. You're going to have to ask yourself, what is the old story that stopped me from getting there now? What fears have been in the way? What old beliefs about myself? What old beliefs about what I can and can't do? What old beliefs about what I can't have? What old beliefs about those people who already have that and who they are? Oh my God. It's so crazy because I made a post. It was a funny post. It was a pastor in church, and he was like dancing, right? He was shouting, or worshiping is what we call it. And it was no more to it than that he was worshiping, and it was, some parishioners behind him as he was doing this. And I posted as a feel good thing. And people would come on the post, see, that's why I don't go to church now. Why are you lying? Why are you lying? That's not why you don't go to church. There was something deeply personal that happened with you. And so now every time you see something that triggers, it validates why you haven't worked on yourself to say, maybe that church wasn't for me. Because if you don't go to all churches because of one church, that don't have nothing to do with why you don't go to church. That's just like saying, you know what? This is why I won't have any more kids. I don't know. Like, I just think about the craziness of things that people say, right? But the interesting part about that is they'll use that metaphor for church, but there's so many things that have disappointed them in life that they'll continue to keep doing and continue to keep going. They may feel that way about a job too, but they haven't stopped going to the job. Why? Because they realize they can go work someplace else. So why wouldn't it be the same about the church? But there's a story there. This is what I'm trying to get you guys to see. There's a story that's built there. And so I'm not saying that story stopped this person from doing anything, but I'm just saying I want you to think about what old story is playing in your head. What old story? And so when you think about the imagination of the future, right? When I had to think about the imagination of when I knew I wanted to first, teach fitness and then get into coaching and becoming a speaker and author, I had to ask myself, what stopped me prior to this? And the truth was, I didn't think I was worthy. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think people would want to work with me. There was so many fears that was there. And why were those fears there? It was based off of things that happened from my childhood, things that I remember, things where I bombed or felt like I failed, and all these other old beliefs that were in the way. So that was the story that was playing in my head. Who does she think she is? How dare you? Those stories are playing in my head over and over and over again. So I had to say, okay, this was the old story. So then I had to say, well, what new story do I need to create so that I can come here every Sunday and talk to you, so that I can write the book, so I can become a coach. And I know you guys hear me say certified. The reason why I say that, because that meant the world to me that I went through the training. I didn't just experience life and come on and say, I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to coach these people. No, it meant the world to me that I took the time to go learn, to gain wisdom, knowledge, skills, and then experience. So, I had to say, okay, what's my new story? And then after I think about what my new story is going to be, I had to say, well, who do I need to become? Because the old version of me could not do this. The old version of me didn't think I looked good enough, didn't think I was enough. There were so many different things there. I didn't want to come on video, and video me would have never happened. You know why? Because I made it all about me. But when I realized that this was a purpose and a calling, anointing, whatever you want to call it, when I realized it was that, I said, oh no, I've gone through these trials. I've gone through these certifications. I've gone through these to help someone else. This ain't even about me. So get over yourself and then go give the people what you've been given. Because the one thing I know for certain, and two things for sure, the things that I've gone through between burying my two sons, right? You've heard my story about that, going through a divorce, going through a bad breakup even after the divorce, being in a corporate America for now, what is it, 28 years, the ups and downs and trials and tribulation of being a teen mom and a welfare mother. My story is going from welfare to winning. So it's like, who did I have to? Who do I need to become? Because the old me couldn't come, and that's the problem. A lot of people are not. You're not moving the needle because the old you is still standing in the way. That's why we talked about fears. That's why we talked about love. And I know these things take time. I get it, but this is why I talk about getting help on the journey. Who's in your ear? Who is your mentor? Who is your coach? Who's walking you through these things? Along my journey of becoming, and I still haven't become yet, that's why I said becoming, because there's so much more to where I'm headed, I had to realize some things. The number one thing I had to realize is I need help. I want every lady and or gentleman that comes across this video, I need for you to say, I cannot do this alone. I need help. Please, ladies, stop saying you don't need a man. That's the biggest lie. And you're coming and you're talking strictly from a place of hurt. We all need each other. Men, all these men out here talking about they don't need women. That's the biggest lie that was ever told. Okay, I promise you, your life will 10x with the right woman. And the same thing for you, ladies, with the right man that believes in you. 10x. And you don't believe that it's out there because you haven't done your healing journey. Because I promise you, I did the research. There was 2.8 million in America weddings last year. Everybody else is finding this love but you. But the dating pool is this. Oh, I know what your story's going to be. Oh, they just settled. Oh, they just settled. Really? Really? I need you to think about that for a second. And I'm not saying something's wrong with you. I'm going to make this very clear. I'm not saying that you're a bad person or any of that. I want you, what I'm trying to do is get you to open your mind and expand to the possibilities of maybe I need to get out of my environment and then the thing that I desire is there. Right? Get out of my comfort zone. Write a vision for that. Right? So I didn't break this down in the beginning, but I'm going to go here for a second. So when it comes to vision, listen, I want you to think about it in terms of what do I want for my physical health? What is my vision for my physical body? What is my vision for my finances? Right? Am I just looking for financial security? Am I looking for financial stability? Or am I looking for financial freedom? Okay? Those are the questions. So we can, what is my vision for my family? What is my vision for my partner? So start to write these things out, but they can go in different buckets. And you don't have to work on all of them at the same time. I don't. Right now, my focus is on growing my coaching business and my health. So those are my two main areas of focus right now. So you can have two focus areas. It's up to you. Sometimes people can, and I do believe that you can kind of work on all of them simultaneously, one thing at a time, and maybe it could be through quarter, but I'm just going to do it with the two right now because there's people who do it. Tony Robbins does it. Eric Thomas does it. If you don't know these guys, check them out. Myron Golden does it. Dr. Miles Monroe, before he passed, did it. Jim Rohn did it. So these people, these names you hear me, these were my mentors. These are my mentors. Okay? Start to read some books. What am I telling you? On the way to becoming, you need help. Whether it's a book, whether it's joining a community, whether it's getting you a coach. I had to pay. Let me just tell you this, because people are just like, oh, like they want the freebie. They want the free boy. I'm okay with the free boy because up until I could really, listen, my thought pattern in the beginning was I couldn't afford it. And then I had to learn I couldn't afford not to. I had to learn that. All right. So take it how you will. You really, it takes a mindset to know you can't afford not to. It takes a mindset to know you can't afford not to love, to give, to serve. Can't afford not to. Okay. So I understand that because I didn't always have this mindset. But then as I started to grow and I realized I couldn't afford not to, I had to pay. Some of the closest people in my life right now came for those communities that I paid to be a part of. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow. You know, we think everything should be for free. I give all my content away pretty much for free because when you coach with me one-on-one, it's going to be a different experience. So I don't really care. But it's like understanding that sometimes you have to pay. And it's not sometimes, it's really all the time. I'm just saying, I had to pay. I had to buy my mentors' books. I paid to be a part of communities. See what I mean? Investing in myself. That's what that really is. So when you're talking about becoming, you have to ask yourself, at this stage, how can I invest in myself? If it's a $5.99 book, so be it. Listen, if you want a good book, message me. I have a million of them, and maybe I can send you one. You know, I don't mind doing that. But think about when you think about the book, right? I want you to hear me. What is the vision? Because if you are focusing on health, then you don't need a book that's going to talk about cutting down trees, right? You want a book that's going to talk about physical fitness and health and nutrition. So I want you to think about that. And then when you get the book, it's not just about reading books. I don't just read to read. I actually put into action whether I'm teaching you, whether I'm working with a client, whether I'm working on myself. I actually utilize that information to help teach, right? So I put it into action. Everybody, just reading a book to say you read a book, okay, you got a bunch of knowledge, but what are you doing with it? How is it helping you? How is it helping your community? How is it helping your family? How is it helping your children? I'll give you a prime example. I'm the mom that buys my kids books. I just bought them a journal. It's called the 369 Manifestation Journal. And we're all, they're all journaling. So why am I doing that? Because I understand the way to unlock the mind sometimes can come from a book and you writing things down. Get it out of your head and get it on paper. And I'm gonna tell you something else I did. I shut up my mouth. When I was working on my book, the only people who knew that I was working on the book was the people that was inside the community. It wasn't something I was on social media like, yep, my book is coming. Didn't do any of that. I didn't do it until I had it physically in my hands. Why? Because I understand how the world works. Not everybody's going to be happy for your success. Some people are going to be like, who do you think you are to write the book? Or who should? So listen, this is why your environment becomes so important. Get in an environment that's going to celebrate you. Listen, accept you, believe in you, and also give you constructive criticism. And I'm going to say this too, on your road to becoming, you have to get yourself in a state to even be able to hear the constructive criticism. Because if not, you're just going to take it personal. Ask me how I know. That used to be me. So this is why it's so important to start to work on your inner, your heart, your soul, your mindset. Mindset is going to kill you. Mindset will kill a dream quicker than your mouth. Because guess what? It has to filter through your mind and come out your mouth. You want to know why you're not where you want to be? Your mindset. Your mindset. All people are this. How? I know I've been on my soapbox about this lately because it just drives me insane. If I only thought from my little surrounding of Plainfield, New Jersey, where I came from, my God, get outside your fishbowl. Get off the internet, because I'm going to tell you something the internet does. And so algorithms are real. So if you think all men are dogs and you start looking at that content, guess what? I work for a Fortune 500 company that deals with big data. Okay? It's going to keep feeding you at. That's why when you look up a perfume or a school or something, all of a sudden, everywhere you see pop-ups of that thing, that's algorithm. That's big data. So what you're doing is you're looking up things that you don't want Come on, y'all. You looking up things that you don't want and wondering why you don't have what you truly desire. What would it look like if you start looking up the things you do want? I want a loving and happy and healthy relationship. What would happen if you go picked up a book from Dr. Miles Monroe? He has ones for single, married, and something else. I can't even think of the name of it, but I read it and it was a beautiful book. What happened if you start reading the things that you really want? What would happen to your mind? Listen, if you don't believe me, challenge me. Go start looking at things that you want. Go start becoming a part of communities the life you really want to live. You want to make 6 figures, you want to make 7 figures, start getting in those environments. Prove me wrong. But what happens to most people is, because they know that's hard work, what is the hard work? To change the mind. Now, personally, I don't think it's hard anymore, because that was the belief. The belief for me it was hard. But once I started doing the work, you know what? It became easier to open my mind and expand it to the possibilities. And it became harder for me to be stuck in the stagnant beliefs that I used to have. I need y'all to hear this, because I promise you, everything you desire you can have if you just start applying principle and stop thinking about things from like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. Oh, I can't think about the future. Well, the future is an hour from now. After you watch this video, that's the future. Hello, somebody. And another reason why it's important for you to look at vision. You know where you're headed. It's like the yellow brick road to Oz, right? Where do I want to end up? When this is all said and done, what do I want to be? What do I want to have? How do I want to feel? What do I want my family to look like? Now, here's the thing about the road. The road is going to be windy. It may not be straight. And along the way, just like Dorothy, right? You may pick up some people. Some people are going to try to stop you. Think about the movie Wizard of Oz, y'all. It's the same thing. Her road wasn't straight. She ended up back home, which is to yourself. Knowing that everything that you need is within you. But along the way, she had to get some help to realize that about herself. Same thing with the lion. I love the lion. Of course, I'm Leo. But Tin Man and Scarecrow, think about it. That's our lives. We're so busy chasing and thinking that somebody else has all the answers. It really lies in us. But what it takes is good people around us to help us see it. Okay? And it doesn't mean that we don't need to acquire knowledge, because think about it. The Scarecrow, he had quotes. Right? The lion had courage. So along those experiences, she gained wisdom. So I really want you to consider that. Okay, so what do we say? What do you want? Why do you want it? What's the old story? What is going to be the new story you need to create? Who do you need to become? And then what language are you using, right? What do I want versus what I don't want? I am enough. I have enough. I'm so happy and grateful now that I am a millionaire. And then because the vision, what is the vision? The vision is the end goal. So I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a millionaire. And then what I'm going to do, and we'll talk about how the goals, we'll talk about that later on in the month, how the goals align with the vision, because what we're going to do is reverse engineer into that thing. If the end goal is $1 million, we're going to go reverse. What does it take for me to make $1 million? Who do I need to become? Right? So after language, we start to think about, okay, who do I need to become and what do I need in order to obtain $1 million? So I have to back that thing up. What skills do I need to acquire? Who's already done it? Who's already done it that I can go model behind? I have some great mentors and coaches because they've already done this. They've already done the speaking. They've already done the coaching, and they're phenomenal at it, right? Some of them are known and some of them are unknown. So where is it? Where do speakers go? Let me tell you, I turned on YouTube and I started listening to Les Brown. Les Brown and Eric Thomas. And Les Brown said the National Speakers Association, become a member, go to the Speakers Academy. I said, okay, that's the difference. I didn't listen to it and just sit there and listen. I created a map. What is a map? Write this down. a massive action plan. Don't just sit here and listen to me, taking in more content. The content is not going to be the thing that's going to transform you. It's going to be what you do with the content that's going to transform you. What are you going to do with what you're consuming? Okay, so I hear things and then I go act. I create a massive action plan. I find out how much things are. I say I can't afford not to. I figure out how to get the money. My mind has become this creative thing. Before, when I used to be like, oh, I don't have enough, my mind could never get creative enough to figure out even how to get the money to go into the program or do the thing. And I never looked at it like, oh, somebody's going to scam me. No, listen, there's no place that I have ventured into where I haven't come out with some aha moment. And sometimes I can spend, 2-3 months in a program and it'll be one thing that'll unleash me and I'm gone. The thing is, my brain is looking for the thing that's going to unleash the next level of my life, not going in there looking for the scam. I wish, I'm telling you, I want to shake people sometime. All right, so let's get back to it. All right, because I could just go on a tangent. So about, reverse engineering into that thing. What will it take along this road? Who will I need to become? What skills do I have to acquire? Who's already done it? Okay. And there's something that I want you guys to really write down too. Because along the way on this journey, problems are gonna arise. Because life stay lifing. It will always life. But this is what I want you to write now. Problems are not permanent. Problems are not permanent. I don't care how it feels. It may feel totally crappy. It may feel totally hard. It may feel like, oh my God, but it's not permanent. There's always going to be the ebbs of flows of life. But this is why foundation, this is why your environment, this is why what you listen to and your foundation of faith is needed. What does your village of success look like? I am set up for success because I have my strong foundation with God. And what that means, let me be very clear, is that I read the Bible for myself. Okay. I study the word myself. Okay. So building that relationship with God, I pray, I meditate on God's word. I talk to him. Okay. So that's what I do. I set myself up for success with the foundation. Okay. I listen to sermons probably daily at this point. All right. That's in my toolbox, my environment, the people I talk to. I have a conference call, not a conference call, it's more like FaceTime, every Thursday with 5 other members. And what do we talk about? How was our week? What was our goals? Did you accomplish this? Did you do that? Right? What is that? It's friendship and accountability. We're not in there gossiping about what happened on Shade Room or whatever else you're watching. Never said I didn't look at it, okay? I never act like I'm above. What I'm telling you is, though, the environment that I'm in, we're talking about getting to the end goal. They are my scarecrow. They are my lion. They are my tin man, okay? So we keep each other going. That becomes important. So I'm set up for success. I have my spiritual foundation. I have my friendship foundation. I also have a therapist on deck. Why? Because I've never done the things that I'm doing. And I'm unlearning so much. I have to learn how to process through all of it. Okay, I had a therapist for grief counseling with, dealing with the murder of my son. I had to deal with the grief of divorce. I had to deal with the grief of losing friendships, right? Because what I tell you, life stays lifing, but problems are not permanent. But you need someone to help guide you through that. Another thing. So what do I say? I had spiritual, my environment with my friends, my therapist, and I have a coach. I have a coach, right? And so my coach helps me with my personal development. As I grow, my village grows. Who is my village? The people who come and listen to my videos, the people who join my community, 1% Nation, where we do what the 99% don't do so we can have what the 99% don't have. You want some more of this? In this meaning the success and growth, join my community or join someone else's. I don't care. I'm not really here to sell you on me. I'm here to sell you on you. Because like my mentor, Eric Thomas, said, you owe you. You owe you a better life. It's the mindset, though, that would have you think that, oh, somebody's trying to sell me. I'm not. I just want you to understand how to get to where you want to go. Okay? And last but certainly not least, because this is the one thing that, in the success tool bag of creating the vision, which is, what did I say? What do you want? Why do you want it? What is the old story that you're telling yourself? What is the new story to actually create the vision? Who do you need to become? What is the language that you are using, right? How do you want to feel? Okay. Talk about the language. What do you want versus what you don't want? Understand that life is going to stay life. And so we talk about then I give you the toolbox. What's your toolbox of success? What is your toolbox? What's in there? Spiritual foundation, friends in your environment, therapist, coach, community. Okay. But this last thing was the one thing that takes my toolbox just over the edge. Gratefulness. And I know people don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. My gratitude has taken me farther than money could ever have taken me. When I want you to sit and get into an attitude of gratitude, when the problems start rising above, I want you to think about your spiritual foundation and say, when has my spiritual father, mother, whoever you want to call it, have ever let me down for real? Like be for real with it. Yeah, I'm going through some things right now. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Sure, but when is my spiritual father ever let me down? Then I get grateful. I get grateful for my health. I get grateful that I'm walking with, listen, there's times when the money isn't there. Like if you a business owner, you know this. I'm not faking for nobody. There's times when it's not there. But I get grateful because I'm in my own home. I have food in my refrigerator. I still have clothes in my closet. I still have other things. My children are healthy. My mind, first of all, my mind is creative. I am in my right mind to create. So there's so many things to get grateful for. But if you want to stay in the victim mode, you can stay there too. I'm just telling you, you can't get to success that way. You can't get to success with woe is me and oh my God. I'm just going to say, somebody made a comment on one of my videos and said, and I thought they were brave. I want to make this very clear. This is not a put down. I thought this person was very brave. They asked this question, like, and I took it from a brave standpoint of really needing help. And they said, well, what can I do? I'm disabled. And I watched, my mom be harmed. And when I heard that, of course, instantly my heart says, I feel for everything that you're experiencing, because it's really real being in that emotion. And then I'll say, okay, so what are some of the things that we can do? We talk about building that toolbox, but I understand that you've experienced all that, but what do you want your life to look like? What do you want your life to look like? Who do you know of or can Google that has a disability but that is very successful? It's interesting. There's a guy that comes to Tony Robbins events. He has no arms and no legs. He's like a multi-millionaire, top speaker. I can't think of his name right now. So that's someone who took a disability and turned that into something triumphant, to turn that into a testimony, turn that into motivation and inspiration for millions upon millions of people. So I say that not to say that you should not feel, because you have to be inhumane not to feel, especially seeing something happen to my mother. I couldn't imagine. Just like I know people watching me couldn't imagine burying 2 sons. What am I saying? We all have something. But what we do with that something is the thing that changes everything. How do I honor my sons is what I say to myself. Not, oh, my son was murdered, so I quit. No, how can I honor my son? I honor my son in my giving. I honor my son in my living. I honor my son by saying Sahab Monroe. I say his name. I say his name. He's in my books. He lives because I live. Because I made the decision to say, so what, now what? Not so what from a dismissive place, but so what, that happened. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to go heal, and I'm going to go love, and I'm going to go give, and I'm going to live the best life I can live, not with guilt. Because I didn't love my son when he was living from a guilty place. No, I'm going to live full out. Because in my mind, when I live full out, he lives full out. So I'm saying to you, if you happen to see this, bring your mother along the journey. What do you need to do to help start your healing? I was on welfare when I first started. $322 a month. I forgot how much the food stamps was. I didn't start this thing from a place of money. I know what it feels to be there. And I'm saying to you, if you just start opening your mind up to investing in yourself, pick up just a book. Just a book. Find a story of someone who is triumphant, that had started off with the same things you had. I promise you there's somebody out there that's like that. But it's a choice that we have to make. And we can become a victim to the story, or we can become victorious to what we can create and become. How proud would your mother be? How proud would your father be? How proud, if you're a parent who bury kids, would your child be of you becoming the best version of yourself? And then they get to live as a result of that. That's legacy. That's legacy. And then you get to teach other people how to overcome and become and heal, because you give them your two back, just like I'm giving you mine. So if you can, get yourself some help. Get into a grief. They have grief groups. I know sometimes they're free with the church. There's so many things that we can do. And I know sometimes in the middle of you can't think of things. So look for some resources. They have therapy groups online. I think there's something called Better Health that you can Google to look up. And I'm sure they can give you resources to what's free if if you don't have the money, what's free in your town. I know a lot of churches give back. Find a church that fits you. And if it's not a church, you don't leave in a church. If it's a mosque, because you're Muslim, find the mosque. If you're Buddhist, whatever that is that you believe in, find that place of found that can help you with your foundation. And if you don't like it, try someplace else. I'm not telling you have to be pigeonholed yourself to one place, but what I'm saying to you is that you could absolutely turn it around. I know because I've done it. I know because I've helped people do it. And I know that therapy plus Jesus for me is the reason why you see me. Okay. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that you have the most amazing Sunday, and we're going to march into success. And if you want me to be your coach, www.mosass.com. Want to join my community, the same. Have a question about it, you can hit chat with us on my website, or you can email me at info@mosass.com. I look forward to coaching and talking to you. See you next week.